feminists? Come on, there's got to be a happy medium between a husband making his wife wear this and a husband making his wife wear this. I know 16, 19 was bad, but this is happening right now, right under your nose rings. You knew how wrong it was when tens of millions of South Africans had been treated like second-class citizens just because of their race. But here's the thing. Today, right now, hundreds of millions of women are treated worse than second-class citizens. When you mandate that one category of human beings don't even have the right to show their face, that's apartheid.
Bill Maher is taking aim at what he calls the woke warriors. People more focused on being outraged than actually changing anything. During Real Time with Bill Maher, he made it clear he's tired of the endless virtue signaling and hollow activism that seem more about attention than action. With his signature sharp humor, Maher tore into the hypocrisy and noise dominating modern activist culture. Whether you agree with him or not, his points hit hard and cut through the pretense. We've gathered the standout moments from his talk, and trust me, you'll want to see them all.
Out protesting for a couple of hours wearing this, you have to go all the way and spend an afternoon running errands wearing one of these. You can't side with the people who ruthlessly oppress women without at least getting a taste of what you're supporting.
Bill Maher doesn't sugarcoat things. When members of the so-called woke crowd defend terrorists under the banner of social justice, he calls it what it is, hypocrisy. Reminds viewers that it's easy to post slogans or hashtags from the comfort of home, but that's a far cry from living through the violence others face daily. His opening statement landed like a punch, and what followed only drove his point home even harder.
Well, now that summer is here and the Hamas-backing college protesters have dispersed back to their summer internships at Goldman Sachs, I thought it might be a good time to say this. I actually admire your youthful idealism, and our world would be poorer without it. Much like your parents who just wasted 300 grand on that ignorance factory you call a college. Not that I think it's your fault being this poorly educated and morally confused. That takes a village. Shitty schools, overindulgent parents, social media, that priest who rubbed lotion on you. But three cheers to you for at least having the impulse to seek a cause and something bigger than yourself. It's just that the one you picked, you missed the boat by a fucking mile.
Maher then turned his attention to education, arguing that today's schools often create followers instead of thinkers. Students, he said, are burdened with massive debt for degrees that don't teach them how to question ideas critically. That, in his view, is why so many blindly rally behind woke causes or even sympathize with extremists. He points out a simple truth. Hamas is a terrorist group, and that fact isn't hard to confirm. Yet, many choose to ignore reality, clinging to catchy slogans instead of facts. Still, Maher does give young activists a small nod of respect. At least they care about something bigger than themselves. The problem, he says, is that what they're fighting for often makes no sense.
Here's the good news. You want a cause? 'Cause I totally got one for you. Apartheid. Yeah, apartheid, the thing you've been shouting about with Israel for months. Never mind that Israeli Arabs are actually full citizens. You learned that word from a 2 Chainz song and discovered that protesting South Africa's apartheid in the 80s was a righteous cause, and so it was. To this day, when celebrities are asked who is the person they most admire, one name is always the safest choice.
Nelson Mandela.
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 So naturally, when you heard that Israel was an apartheid state, it gave you such a boner you literally pitched a tent.
Nelson Mandela, Maher reminds us, fought a genuine and courageous battle, ending apartheid in South Africa. His struggle wasn't about trends or attention. It was about justice, sacrifice, and moral conviction. Mandela was informed, disciplined, and thoughtful. He didn't weaponize identity or use shallow ideas to appear virtuous. Instead, he built bridges, listened to others, and acted with empathy and intellect. That, Maher says, is what true activism looks like. And today's self-proclaimed activists could learn a lot from that example.
He knew how wrong it was when tens of millions of South Africans had been treated like second-class citizens just because of their race. But here's the thing. Today, right now, hundreds of millions of women are treated worse than second-class citizens. When you mandate that one category of human beings don't even have the right to show their face, that's apartheid. And it goes on in a lot of countries.
That's the core problem with so many modern woke activists. They celebrate figures like Nelson Mandela, quoting him endlessly and calling him a hero, yet rarely stand for the values he actually lived by. As Maher puts it, if Mandela is truly your inspiration, then fight for the oppressed as he did. Right now, millions of women in Arab nations and beyond are denied basic human rights. Many can't vote, own property, or even leave home without meal permission. It's a modern form of apartheid, not racial but gender-based. And yet, where's the outrage? Where are the marches or trending hashtags? Instead, many young protesters are chanting for groups that commit violence. Maher says the hypocrisy would be funny if it weren't so tragic.
For the last couple of years, women in Iran have been saying, take this hijab and shove it. Because in 2022, a young woman named Mahsa Amini was arrested for wearing her mandatory hijab incorrectly and then died in police custody. And now security forces have killed over 500 people protesting her death and this obvious human rights violation. How about defunding those police?
Maher doesn't pull back. This time he targets the defund the police movement, one of the most controversial causes among woke activists. He questions the logic of dismantling an entire institution because of a few bad officers, especially when there's no serious plan for what would replace it. Meanwhile, real authoritarian abuses are happening in other parts of the world, and barely anyone in the West seems to care. Take Iran, for example. Women are beaten, detained, and humiliated by the so-called morality police for refusing to wear a hijab, all over a piece of fabric. But there are no student protests, no viral campaigns, no global outrage. Maher calls it what it is, selective activism, and says it's time people admit it.
Amnesty International says that Iranian authorities are waging a war on women that subjects them to constant surveillance, beatings, sexual violence, and detention, what P. Diddy calls a hotel stay. In Iran, Me Too isn't a movement. It's what a woman says when another woman says, my life sucks.
Maher then draws a powerful contrast. He points out that while many woke activists love criticizing America, they overlook how much freedom this country actually gives, especially to women. Here, women can vote, own homes, choose any career, run for public office, protest freely, and live independently. They don't face arrest over what they wear or who they are. Yet instead of appreciating these rights, many activists attack the very system that guarantees them. Even worse, some defend regimes that would take those freedoms away in an instant. Maher calls it out plainly: hypocrisy pretending to be morality.
Yasmin Mohammed is a human rights activist who got married off to a Muslim man with fundamentalist views about women, not exactly uncommon in the Muslim world. He forced her to wear the niqab all the time, including once beating her. because she took her hijab off at home because the apartment had a window through which people might see in. And this was in Vancouver. Here's what Yasmin said about veiling. It just suppresses your humanity entirely. It's like a portable sensory deprivation chamber, and you are no longer connected to humanity. You can't see properly. You can't hear properly. You can't speak properly. People can't see you. You can only see them. Just little things, passing people on the street and just making eye contact and smiling, that's gone. You're no longer part of this world, and so you very quickly just shrivel up into nothing under there. And that's my answer when someone says Islamophobe.
Did you notice the silence? It wasn't just an awkward pause. It exposed something deeper. The moment anyone criticizes Islam, they're labeled an Islamophobe. But criticism of Christianity or Western culture, that's considered fair game, even fashionable. Maher points out that plenty of Muslim thinkers openly critique the West, yet when the same level of critique is directed toward Islamic beliefs, it's treated as hate speech. That double standard, he argues, says a lot. Other religions can be mocked and analyzed freely, but even mild questioning of Islam is met with outrage. And that's what sets Maher apart. He refuses to tiptoe around uncomfortable truths. He speaks directly, confidently, and without apology.
Really, feminists? Come on, there's got to be a happy medium between a husband making his wife wear this and a husband making his wife wear this. I know 1619 was bad, but this is happening right now, right under your nose.
Maher turns next to modern feminism, and again, he doesn't hold back. He highlights how social media explodes when Kanye West is accused of being controlling over his wife's clothing choices. Feminists online are quick to condemn him. But where's that same energy when women in Iran are literally jailed or beaten for not covering their hair? Maher calls it out as another glaring double standard. If a celebrity's behavior is labeled oppression, what do we call a government that punishes women for their wardrobe? That's not fashion policing. It's state-sanctioned gender apartheid. His message is clear. True feminism can't be selective. You can't protest patriarchy in Hollywood and stay silent about tyranny elsewhere. Anything less isn't activism, it's performance.
It's not just the clothes. 15 countries in the Middle East, including Gaza, have laws that require women to obey their husbands. Laws, not just Harrison Butker's opinion.
Bill Maher isn't just cracking jokes. He's calling out hypocrisy wherever he sees it. From people praising Mandela while ignoring real oppression, to activists bashing America while overlooking brutal regimes abroad. Maher challenges what most are afraid to say. In a world where self-censorship rules, his voice is a reminder that truth isn't determined by hashtags or online mobs. If you found this discussion thought-provoking, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.